I'm planning on making a few little videos today, and I'm going to have another conversation with a Christian Reformed pastor today, Lord willing. But I wanted to point out this video that's on now with Jordan Peterson at Lafayette, and it's a very interesting conversation. It begins obviously it begins very hostile. It almost seems like they set a trap for him, and that's a little. I mean, they asked him really hard questions, and they were very well prepared in their hard questions. But I thought the whole thing was worth watching. It was good. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. You know, again, in some of the Jordan Peterson, especially in the Sacramento Jordan Peterson meetup, we've had a variety of conversations about testing and Peterson, and these testing experiences seem to be very important for the phenomenon in terms of who he is and how he kind of unfolds on the stage. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take some little excerpts from this video, and because probably not everybody has watched the whole video, unlike Maps of Meaning and the Biblical Series and some of those, I'll probably just let the excerpt run, and then I'll do some commentary after in the form that I usually do. So I might make a couple of those little videos today. But yeah, it's a good video. Watch it. I don't want to interrupt the Dave Snapper conversation that I posted this morning. I'm pleased with how that conversation went, and I've known Dave for a long time. He's a good guy, and so I wanted, I've done a lot of intellectual stuff with my channel, and I wanted to do some more pastoral stuff with my channel. And also, I'm probably going to do some stuff that's less germane to Jordan Peterson and more germane to the Christian Reformed Church. The Christian Reformed Church has Synod coming up in June. I'm not a delegate this year. My youngest son is graduating high school, so I'm not going to make it to Grand Rapids for Synod. Synod is the broadest assembly of the Christian Reformed Church, and maybe one of these days I'll talk a little bit more about the Christian Reformed Church. But I'm going to do some videos in anticipation of Synod. One of those will again involve David Snapper. Another one will involve some other friends that I have, and we're going to be discussing politics and religion, because at this upcoming Synod there are a number of decisions that Synod's going to have to make with respect to trying to differentiate politics and religion. So a lot of the Jordan Peterson fans might not find that interesting, but my interest in doing YouTube actually predated my interest in Jordan Peterson, and so it's, I've always wanted to do some other things with my channel too, some things more specific to my denomination and things that are more specific to ministry. So some of you have made comments that you should broaden the channel, and it will naturally get broadened. My interest in Peterson is simply what I'm studying right now, and my habit over the years has been take deep dives into things and learn them deeply. And so Jordan Peterson is my deep dive for this season of life. I've done Tim Keller in the past. I've done C.S. Lewis. I've done other thinkers. That's part of my ongoing self-education is spend a few years doing a deep dive into both someone that interests you and someone that you think is important, and really try to learn. One of the things that I've appreciated, get in front of this camera, just jabber. One of the things that I appreciate about Peterson or I've learned from him, is about thinking. And again, that book by Alan Jacobs that I'm reading, How to Think. Thinking is in many ways a conversation. And so for years I blogged. Every day I would write for an hour or two, read, think, but talk, and talk with other people. I was speaking with my wife the other night, and she was saying, sometimes people just need to talk, and they need someone to listen, but they just need to talk, and that's the observation of the depth psychologist. It's I see it in terms of pastoral ministry. So often people come into my office, they just need to talk, and I don't say anything. I don't give them any advice. I just listen to them and give them a little encouragement and send them back out there into the world to have the world do to them what it always does. So, yep, the Jordan Peterson at Lafayette conversation and question and answer is a worthwhile video in a lot of ways. Some of you hardcore Jordan Peterson fans will get pretty frustrated with it because they really come after him, and they ask him some gotcha questions. And yeah, you can judge yourself how he does. It's interesting. I think you know, for him too, this is a journey for him, and he's learning as he goes. And it's been fascinating watching the progression, partly because he's so transparent. And there's a question later about Twitter and his use of Twitter, and you know, he's doing all the right things in terms of getting good counsel, listening to people. And it's one thing to have people talk at you. It's another thing to listen. And again, you know, some of the values that I saw initially in him are holding true. He does know how to listen to people. He does know how to take counsel. He's a lifelong learner, which means he's continuing to learn. And part of what, if you haven't seen it yet, you might get frustrated in the first hour and a half because of all the assaults on him. But what's interesting in the piece is that the assaults kind of blow themselves out. And I think this is in keeping with his idea of ideological possession. Now, as a pastor, I can't hear possession and not hear demonic possession and demon possession, as you say, read in the New Testament. But so many who attack him have so little to say because they have nothing original to say. They've not really thought through. Now, there are some who have. Now, don't get me wrong. They're out there too. But there are many others who they've not thought through any of these. These are all the lines that they've heard. And then it gets boiled down into tiny little low resolution snarky attacks. You're a bigot. You're transphobic. You're blah, 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 blah. And again, I know I've taken some hits from relational hits because I've been doing this project on Jordan Peterson, and some people just want me to denounce him because, you know, he's a white supremacist or he's alt-right. And again, as I said, in the Christian Reformed Church, I've always been on the left of the Christian Reformed Church, which is a pretty conservative denomination. So the left of the CRC is by no means anywhere near the left of the American spectrum. But, you know, so yeah, people have concerns about me because, as one of my good friends says, well, because when Paul started his man crush on Jordan Peterson, and it's people are concerned about me, but I'm just fine. Jordan Peterson has not made me a bigot or a racist or any of the evil things you imagine him to be. Mostly because I've listened to hours and hours and hours of him, and I think he actually delves into these issues. Instead of just saying racism bad and going on from there, he actually thinks about what racism is and thinks about all of these issues. And I've never heard him say anything that I thought was racist or bigoted or anything like that. And I've lived with these issues all my life because of where I've grown up. If you want some more backstory on me, watch my Divine Lobster video, because that really probably of my videos has the most backstory. But, you know, I've never heard anything out of him that gives me pause in terms of, you know, that he's a racist or that he's somehow biased against gays or transgenders or anyone. He's a psychologist who works in Toronto and teaches at the University of Toronto and didn't have any trouble for years and years and years until he started making comments about C16. And then, well, this is how the organism responds to threats. So anyway, I didn't want to talk too long on this, but talking too long is a real liability I have. So I'm going to make some little shorter videos. But yeah, the Jordan Peterson at Lafayette, worth watching if you can stomach it. And I think towards the end, you'll be pleasantly surprised at a lot of the good questions that get asked.